Right, so all right, sir.
Is
Just
it okay?
share the screen, sir.
Hmm?
So add the presentation to the screen, sir.
Oh, presentation వస్తుందా?
No, sir. We are not getting the presentation.
No?
Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Okay. Cognitive, effective, effective tools in self-management.
Yes.
Okay, good evening, friends. All my student friends. This is, as I've already told you, it's a student-focused masterclass on cognitive and effective tools in self-management, unlocking the power of mind and emotions for personal success. And it's a masterclass aimed at the students of MBA program of final year of the Hindu College, Machilipatnam, affiliated to Krishna University. I am extremely thankful to Sri Upendra sir for having invited me to be here this afternoon session to spend some nice time with the students on this masterclass concept being cognitive and affective tools in self-management. We have been doing this classes. It is in the series, a series of master classes, and this master class is all about tools for self-management. I'm extremely happy to invite all the friends who are watching YouTube live. And I may mention again for all those friends, please note that this is MBA final year student focused masterclass. So with this, I just go about the self-management. We have already started doing something, some exercises, instruments also, along with the theoretical concept of explanation of self-management and the need for self-management. The self-management refers to the ability to regulate one's thoughts, emotions, and actions effectively to achieve personal and professional goals. As you know that. It's thought process. That's where we take n plus one number of decisions already, most of the time, and there's your logical thinking and your assertiveness to handle conversations. Lots of things count here when you're mentally alert in the thought process. The next one is when you are experiencing mental excitements like some mood swings and emotional arousals. Definitely, this will have an impact on your functioning and all that. So here it is very important for us when we talk about self-management, you should be very conscious of your ability to regulate both your logical thinking and also your emotional intelligence of managing your emotions and others' emotions as well. And so that the actions effectively can be, totally be taken to achieve personal and professional goals as such. Now, when we talk about some of the key aspects that we're going to discuss now in this masterclass, is that cognitive means mental processes such as thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. Because many decisions need to be taken here. When we talk about decision taking or decision making, as a matter of fact, you need to go for a logical reasoning, meaning that we need to define the problem, and you need to amplify the problem, and you need to search for alternative solutions and selecting the best. This is the art and science of decision making in business organizations. So how good is your mental process? That's very important, because if you fail to define a problem in its proper perspective, decisions can derail. If you cannot have the ability to explore the problem, and I mean to say that looking at a magnified approach, the problem can be understood in multidimensional angles. So that can help you to clearly evaluate the alternatives. When you can evaluate the alternatives, then you can search for the best alternative. Everything centers around your mental processes such as thinking, reasoning, and then of course is the problem solving as such. So care must be taken here in order to improve and be aware of your thinking processes. The second one is affective. As I've already told you, how good are you in emotional regulation? So most of us take mental excitements when we are in group settings. As a matter of fact, maybe it is stress, or maybe it is some emotional arousal, and a lot of influencing factors in the process where you get disturbed. Your emotional arousals will be there. So what may happen is when you can't take decisions, rational decisions at the bit of emotions. That's very important to note here, how to handle your emotions as well as others' emotions as such. So we have already talked about at length about that, emotional intelligence. Anyway, this is another area where we need to consider this concept again. So, emotional regulation, self awareness, and emotional intelligence are very, very important once we talk about affective tools. So the importance I need not have to overemphasize again. The effective self management leads to better decision making exercises and productive decisions, as a matter of fact, and increase in the productivity of self and others, and the total well being of the individual as such, because you're sure about your thinking processes, and you're also sure about emotional regulation of yours, and also that you keep yourself fitting in a given situation, and you also make others also fit into this uh, exercise of collective decision making and all that. So let's first of all discuss on what are the cognitive tools in self management. What are cognitive tools? As I've already told you, the cognitive tool is something about designing your own techniques and strategies to manage and optimize mental processes. So we have, of course, we have the brain split into two, and right part of the brain and left part of the brain, and the something like logical thinking, and the other brain, other part of the brain talks about creativity and design thinking and whatever number of things. So the cognitive tools now are self-awareness, recognizing one's thoughts and biases. So that's very, very important. If you go for if you do not take cognizance of your biases, then rational thinking derails. Please note what happens. So self-awareness is all about recognizing one's thoughts and biases. This is with reference to cognitive tools I'm talking. So the next one is goal setting. Yes. See, the problem here is uh, that we may not identify what are the defined goals, as a matter of fact, goals and tasks and priorities and all that. If you fail to understand the prioritization part, and also defining and redefining your goals and all the tasks, then what is that you're going to plan? So goal setting is all about planning and organizing tasks and priorities. We come to that just now. Then about is problem solving. See, having said that, you need to analyze the problems, you need to redefine the problems in multi-dimensional approach, and you need to identify the challenges that are there, avoiding biases, mind it, avoiding biases, identify the challenges that are there and try to overcome the challenges as such. Then, of course, is time management is another important cognitive tool which can help you to identify yourself with time bound decision making exercises as such. See, allocating time effectively to enhance productivity is very, very important. You can't go on discussing, and you can't go on analyzing as that, like that. And you need to answer your time management skill, and you need to develop your time management skill as such. And the next one is decision making. Ultimately, what happens is that you are supposed to take a call on productive decision making as such. You need to evaluate a lot of choices before you logically, please note, logically, to make better decisions as such. In the eventuality of not taking different choices for evaluation, then you may definitely say that you will definitely fail in logical decision making exercise, and decisions may go wrong, and things may be taking difficult turn here. So this is about cognitive skill oriented approach. So next one is what are affective tools? Techniques and strategies for managing emotions. Earlier, also, we were talking about the concept called mostly human being is partly rational and partly emotional, as a matter of fact. So, what may happen is your logical thinking may be fine, but then if you are not in a position to manage your emotions well and all that, and you are susceptible to emotional arousals, and you don't take cognizance of the effects, this is very problematic as such. So you need to identify certain techniques and work out certain strategies for managing your own emotions and others emotions as well. Again, I repeat that the emotion is a mental excitement that you take. When you're taking mental excitements, like for example, we often categorize these emotions into moods and emotions for the purposes of clear discussion. Moods, you see, the need for us to look into these things are basically organizations are human centric. So when organizations are with human involvement as such, and human beings work there not as individuals but as teams in any organization for that matter. So what may happen here is, if you take a mental excursion, like it can be an emotion or a bit of emotion or a mood swing for that matter. So we often say, people saying that, no, 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 I'm not in good mood today. Please don't disturb me for another 1 hour or so, something like that. Or an excited anger, for example, you may take some biased decisions, and you keep distance from others. These things happen. In a group setting, if these things happen and take larger proportions, the productivity is at loss. And I often, very often say that organizations cannot be run on mood swings. The mood swing is an individual thing. So why does it influence the entire organizational climate? That is absolutely incorrect. Absolutely incorrect. So let us examine what are the key affective tools. One is emotional intelligence. Earlier session, we have devoted a full session on emotional intelligence, EQ, and there are certain questions you have answered it, and you have also rated rated yourself on the basis of the scale given to you earlier. So it is the ability to understand and manage emotions, and there are important dimensions to this. As we have already answered this earlier also, like Daniel Goleman's approach of 5 aspects here: self-regulation, empathy, mindfulness, and self stress management. Let's examine these things in detail. Self-regulation is all about controlling emotional impulses in high pressure situations. Most of the time when we are running short of time, for example, or on challenges, meeting deadlines, for example, there are certain high pressure situations. In the fast paced world today, decision making becomes a very important competitive exercise. You make a quick decision to be, to be falling in race. When you have a competitors as such, they take very good decisions, fast decisions, and all. So sometimes what happens is you will be experiencing high pressure situations, so you need to control emotional impulses in high pressure situations. If you do not take cognizance of this, you may take biased decisions. Empathy is another area because it's you and your people, mind it. It's you and your team. So understanding and responding to others' emotions also is a very important characteristic of a good executive as such. So this empathetic means walking into other shoes when you're working with others can make you understand from their perspective, and most of the problems can be solved that way also. That's empathy. Mindfulness is one thing. Staying in a present. Do not take mental excursions. No pre-assumptions, please. Staying present and aware of emotional states without any judgment. Without any judgment. You may say that your inner conscious tells you that you're right, he is wrong, and all that. No, let's not go in for certain type making of some non-scientific assumptions, and be there at present and in the present state and aware of emotional states without judgment. And then about stress management, stress is something like, is again a mental state. You feel tense, when you feel tense, of course it's a psychosomatic disorder. It starts psychologically, and then it ends up with physiological symptoms like peptic ulcers and heart ailments and all that. So you suffer a lot. So you need to manage the stress levels. Absolutely, the first stage is psychological well-being should be answered. So you need to have certain strategies by using emotional coping strategies to deal with stress. Stay calm, composed when you're experiencing some stressful situations, high pressure areas, and all that. So let us examine in detail what are these. Self awareness can be a cognitive tool, which how this self awareness can be a better tool to help you in cognitive decision making as such, making good decisions, logically good decisions, analysis can be good, and no biases as such. So self awareness is all about conscious knowledge of one's own thoughts and feelings. I have already made a mention. How it works? Yes, absolutely. It's important for us to understand the process. It helps identify cognitive biases that may affect decisions. Most of the time, you may think that this is right from your perspective. If you do not go on for scientific analysis, then you are subjected to this kind of cognitive biases that may affect decisions. Decisions cannot be taken productively. And it allows for more objective thinking and self correction. This self analysis, self management is another important thing to note here is it allows more objective thinking. Subjective thinking is all about, I mean, creeping into biases and all that, and you may not take scientific orientation to decision making as such. So your objective thinking is, multi-dimensional, look at the problem from different perspectives, and you need to correct your biases, as a matter of fact. If you go on analyzing things for better propositions as such, so you can control this kind of self perceptions and self biases as such. So let us examine a real life scenario just to give you some practical insight with an example here. Say a manager recognizes that his quick decision to criticize an employee was based on stress, not on the employee's performance. Mind it. See, it is on a stressful situation. He did not even examine the employee performance levels clearly. So he started criticizing the employee. So this is a very bad scenario, and you will be demotivating the employees because under stressful situation. So you recognize that a manager here recognize the fact that yes, I am experiencing some stressors and all that. So because of that, because of my mental disturbance, I started criticizing employee. So this kind of awareness allows him to apologize and address the situation more constructively. See this beautiful example. When the executive now come to tender apologies to his subordinates, and that's why this mental awareness is very very important as such. So that addresses the situation more constructively. Very very a practical approach. So, what is the application tip for us? See, how long, I mean, how many number of times you go for this regular reflection on thoughts. So, if you go on regular reflection, self reflection on your thoughts, there must be some method of doing this. So, all the thoughts you have when you are into action with this thought, you journaling this. That means writing down these thoughts and all that, how they influence your decisions and all that. And meditation helps build self awareness. Meditation, cool, calm, composed postures. And that can regulate you yeah, and your thinking process. Please note that's very important. The next aspect, what we have talked about in uh, the presentation here is goal setting and planning. cognitive approach again. Uh, the goals, you set a goal, and if the goals are said to be distant and a lot of confusion on defining a goal, so that again derails entire thing. Your performance is at stake. So goal setting and planning is another important tool here, a cognitive tool for success. So let's examine what how do you set the goals. These are called as SMART goals. It's an acronym. Why we use this SMART is S for specific, M for measurable, A for achievable, R for relevant, and T for time bound. Because why this kind of a thing is, you should not be over optimistic about setting different goals without any specificity. So first problem is be specific. Number two, when you want to achieve, what is the parameter of achieving the goal and non achieving the goal? So set your measurable standards. Third one is whether the goal is achievable or not. So do not support non achievable goals depending upon your risks and skills and all that. So you have to set only achievable goals and relevant. Irrelevant goals to the given setting may mean something which is not useful at all. So try to identify relevant goals to fix up and work out for achievement. Time bound goals, yes, I have already talked to you on measurability. Same thing happens here. You set a time when you want to achieve a goal, a particular goal. You want to achieve a promotion after 2 years, so you want to reach higher level executive cadre. So I set up the time bound goal to ensure very clarity. That's what you call a smart goal oriented approach. The cognitive impact here is that how you see when the entire goal process is to be understood here, goal setting process is understood this way, that can help break down large objectives you have into manageable tasks. You identify some and you eliminate something. Now in order that you can guide yourself on your resources, strengths, and risks taking ability, etc. So if this kind of scientific approach that can help you to reduce overwhelming. So you need not have to disturb yourself for that matter as such. So let us take an example, a real-time example again here. A student who is preparing for the final examinations uses SMART goals to structure their study plans. So at this hour, I would like to study this subject and I would like to complete this subject at a given point of time and all that. So they try to focus on small daily goals instead of cramming in the last minute. Am I clear what I'm saying? So this is very interesting example. A student who can work out uses a smart goal approach to prepare for the final examinations to avoid last minute anxiety levels. What is the application tip that suggests here? And use goal setting. Of course, we have with the information technology, we have a lot of planners and calendars and fixing updates and cross checking and goal setting apps for that matter on daily, weekly basis. You can make use of these type of tools to help yourself to plan goals in the achievement process. The next one is problem solving and decision making. As I've already told you earlier, using logical and creative strategies to resolve issues is paramount here. Using logical and creative strategies. First of all is the right brain activity, and last, of course, is the left brain activity. Creativity, okay, but then you should be logical enough here. So you need to follow the decision making process in a systematic fashion of problem solving. Let's see the scientifically proven steps to problem solving. First of all, you define the problem. Are you sure that you have defined the problem correctly from different perspectives? And analyze the problem. It goes with that. Define the problem and analyze the problem in its proper perspective. If you can understand clearly the focus of the problem, focus on the problem, then you can search for develop sorry search for important alternatives, develop alternatives, solutions, what we mean. If you can define the problem well, it's called a well defined problem is half solved. The reason being, the potential solutions that we try to search can be quite clear if you can define the problem. So then generate potential solutions, different alternative solutions. So you cannot stop there, because there are different solutions you have thought of for a well-defined problem. Next comes here, all solutions cannot be taken up because of the resources constraint and all. Each will have their own advantages and disadvantages as such. So you evaluate the pros and cons of each solution. Means advantages and disadvantages of choosing X solution, Y solution, Z solution, like that. And having evaluated, next phase, final phase, is choose the best option and implement it. And again, we have to go for follow up in case the decisions are not working out. Go for follow up and again revise. This is a cycle again. Define the problem, evaluate the problem, analyze the problem, what I mean to say, and develop different potential alternative solutions. Evaluate all alternative solutions in terms of advantages and disadvantages, resources, constraints, and all, and then choose the best option. And not don't stop there. You implement, because you have to check whether the results are out from this kind of implementation as such. Implement, then go for follow up, cross check. If it is not, again, the information must be fed again to definition stage of the problem. So review the outcome and learn from it. Let's take a real time example here. A business owner who is losing customers. See, there's a problem here that is losing customers, maybe because of competition or inefficiency of that particular venture in order to capture the customer class. So, say a business owner who is losing customers identifies the problem exactly, considers various marketing strategies, tests a new social media campaign. So suppose they have identified that something going wrong on information side. We are not present, we are not positioning the products, positioning ourselves clearly, innovatively to the intended audience. So they thought, I mean, this business owner thought of testing a new social media campaign. When he does that kind of a thing in a systematic fashion, it is observable that a 20% increase in customer engagement is there. And of course, the net result would be, once you are keeping yourself engaged with the customers, with your sales claims and all that, it's quite but natural that you're going to win the loyalty of the customers as such. The application tip here is that you need to evaluate the single problem in its multi-dimensional approach, as a matter of fact. So use mind maps or brainstorming. You know what is meant by mind map? Start somewhere and go there, and it is not okay. Next, like that. It's a mind map, related issues, unrelated issues, and all that. And you go for brainstorming sessions to explore creative solutions to problems. See, you are not only the person to take charge of the entire decision making process as such. You have team of people. That's why we say brainstorming. Let all people, bring out their own creative brains together and define and look at the problem in different perspectives, suggest alternatives, and work out possibilities, etc. Brainstorming is what we call. So these are all some of the important aspects once we talk about the first part of it, thing like cognitive tools which can help self management. Okay, next is affective tools. Now, affective tools, as I've already told, that's something about your emotions, mental excitements. I repeatedly say that organizations are human centric. People are there and teaming up in different scenarios, working out uh, and help solve different problems and work for better results. So here comes, your self management and team management, and all these things count a lot here. When there are human beings together, when there are people, there are individual differences. Now, how do you manage your individual differences? When you're managing yourself, you are subjected to some certain mental excitements like mood swings and mood changes, emotional arousals, as I've already made a mention. So the first important here tool here is to work out on your emotional intelligence coefficient. How good are you in managing emotions? The key to effective self management is to identify your emotional arousal levels and how good are you in managing emotions of yourself and others. So, the ability to understand and manage and influence your own emotions and emotions of others is exactly the emotional intelligence. And it's also called EQ, emotional quotient. It is talked about, the very essential skill, very, very essential skill. So IQ may not be counted much when compared to EQ today, because there are complex problems to be answered with teams and teams of people as such. So what are the components of EQ? We have already talked about it earlier. Then again, just to brush up here: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. The real example here is a team leader. Let's see, a team leader uses emotional intelligence to handle a conflict of team members, between team members, by empathizing with both sides, both sides, not yourself only, but others. How do they think? What are the problems they face, and all that? So that results. What may happen is harmonious relationships when you're regulating your emotions and their emotions as such. Definitely the mediation takes place, and situation will not go disturbed, and there will be harmonious relationships that can be restored. So the practice of active listening and looking beyond your magnifying glass and see what may happen from their perspective, very, very important aspect here. An empathetic approach is very, very important. Empathy to improve relationships at work and in personal life also as such. So we have already talked about it. That's why I'm skipping. That's the Daniel Goleman's five-step approach of this, emotional intelligence dimension. Components I have already told you: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation of self and others as such, empathy, and social skills moving together. Next aspect, what we need to answer is mindfulness as an effective tool. So, what is mindfulness for emotional regulation? See, what may happen normally is we are prone to take mental excursions and unnecessary analysis of the simple problem that cropped up. So, how can you stop this process? How can you go practical in your approach of understanding the problem very clearly? So, here mindfulness counts a lot. The practice of staying present and focused on the moment, minded, on the moment, without any judgment. See, you should be unbiased completely, unbiased. Because, but what may happen is when we are all emotionally aroused, then biases may creep in. Our personal biases will creep in. Instead of looking at the problem, we look at the people. That is wrong. Look at the problem, not a person, because that's what empathy is all about. How come that this person is saying like this? If I were to be in his position, things would be how the things would happen. So that's how it goes. So you don't take mental excursions, unsafe. Let's not just getting into the frame of unsafe assumptions and all that. So how mindfulness helps here? Let's examine. It definitely reduces impulsive reactions to stress here. See, cool, calm, composed atmosphere is all the more very important. How can you create a cool, calm, composed atmosphere? Please cut short of your emotional arousals. Sit calm, quiet, meditate, for example. Be in the present scenario. Be in the present scenario. That means that avoid unsafe assumptions. So that helps you to reduce impulsive reactions to stress. In a stressful situation, we act differently, but that will boomerang. The decisions will boomerang. So you need to manage your stress levels first, and then evaluate the problem without any bias. That's very important. And it promotes emotional balance and clarity. Yes, of course, naturally, mindfulness helps you to promote emotional balance and clarity. Clearly, be at the present moment. Don't take mental excursion. Now, what did he talk yesterday? Why are we unnecessarily involved in this yesterday's conversation? Why yesterday's conversation should float here and say disturb your entire scenario of taking decisions? So this kind of things must be avoided. Of course, there is a link between yesterday's conversation and today's dialogue and all. That's okay, but it should be answered very scientifically, not with emotional arousals and biases and all that. So it promotes emotional balance and clarity. Let's examine a case here. A doctor uses mindfulness techniques to stay calm and focused during a high pressure surgeries. You see what happens. Doctors take a human being as a product. That's all. Of course, because the doctor administering an operation on a patient, another human being for that matter. So a lot of things count here. So a doctor uses mindfulness techniques. Stay calm, completely calm and focused during high pressure surgeries, because surgeries are different things. Say no two surgeries are alike, because the patient response system and all that, the nature of the disease and the surgery specifications, all things count a lot. So there can be nothing like a uniform pattern where the surgeon can sit and do the surgery. Always they are having a lot of stress levels. So this kind of mindfulness of the doctor, which can help maintain precision and decision making quality under stress, mind it. They are under stress naturally, because it's a life and death question for the patient, as a matter of fact. So cool, calm, composed atmosphere can be created through mindfulness. Be present and then answer it. So the doctor's surgery, the operation management will be like this. Helps maintain precision and decision making quality under stress. What are the application tip or additional tip that we can take of? Uh, See, most of the corporate daily mindfulness exercises can help, like sitting in a good posture and guided meditation exercises, deep breathing, what we call pranayama, and all that. Concentrate on some product. There are different schools of thought on meditation as such. All these things may mean enhancing emotional control over yours. So that can help you a lot in the process of taking decisions very organizedly and all that. The next point what we can make a mention is about stress management. I have already told you stress is psychosomatic disorder. First of all, it starts from anxiety, and slowly it gets into anxiety neurosis. uh, now that again result in a lot of other stressful situations. Once you start, I mean, experiencing stressors, your pulse rate increases, heart rate increases, you become tense. You become tense. There are two situations: either you fight or fright. That means you go for extraordinary fight. That means your extraordinary consumption of your resources gets strained. Flight means get out of the system. See, getting out of the system will not solve the purpose, because you're supposed to be there and taking decisions. You can't get out of the system as such. So this stressful scenarios will have definitely a direct effect on your health, both psychological and physical health. So that's what you need to note. Now, I have already told you that it's a psychosomatic disorder. Psychosomatic disorder is all about your psychological well being. So if you suffer from stress, I've already told you that your blood pressure increases and heart ailments, as a matter of fact. You have sleep cramps and you don't have sufficient sleep as such. So all these things mean again you will have an impact on your physiological system, like maybe migraine headaches and heart strokes and peptic ulcers, insomnia, sleeplessness, right? Dyspepsia, that is lack of hunger. You can't take anything, and when you don't take a nutritious diet, in stressful scenarios, this get magnified. So there is a need, my dear friends, to go in for effective stress management techniques. First one would be cognitive reframing. See what happens here when you are confronted with a problem. You this when you experience high stress levels, so you are totally locked up. You don't have any other perspective of that particular problem. So cognitive reframing strategy means changing the way you view stressors. For example, a problem can be a stressor or a challenge. So take this as a challenge, not a stressor. It's not a danger thing, but it requires you to move faster and spend little energies to help yourself to help that problem. Solve that particular problem. So cognitive reframing is changing the way you view stressors. This is not a stressor. This is only a challenge. Others may think, oh, no, no, what is there in it? Why you suffer a lot? Why you are tense here? No, 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 it's easy thing that we can do like this. So that's what it means. Cognitive reframing is that. Next one, of course, would be relaxation techniques. Yeah, keep calm for a minute, for a couple of minutes. So that can happen here to help solve different anxiety levels as such. So deep breathing can be one. So that there can be some sort of an overhauling of your system, thinking patterns, the cool, calm, composed atmosphere can be created. Keep quiet for a while, breathing deep, deep breathing, and progressive muscle relaxations and yoga, etc., etc. On your seat itself, or just go out, take a minute, take a couple of minutes, pause from the given stressful situation, or do little yoga on chair, for example, if you want to be there, or practice yogic exercises, muscle relaxation exercises, breathing and meditation things, pranayama and all that, a daily routine in the morning or even in the evening, whatever it is. So this is how we need to answer stress, because stress is a psychosomatic disorder. It can create a lot of physiological symptoms if it's not handled psychologically. That's why a mindfulness, meditation, etc., are said to be very, very important as such. So the real life example when we take here, say for example, a software developer, a software engineer nearing a project deadline. This is quite happen quite often. It happens like this, and they will be working out on deadlines, and reaching a deadline becomes a tough thing for them, because on output front they are not making a big headway, and a deadline is approaching. So this kind of stressful situation, see that a software engineer goes on cognitive reframing to see the deadline as a challenge rather than a threat. That's what I am saying earlier also. It's not a threat, it is a challenge. Make you think faster and ask for cooperation, collaboration of other friends. Sit for a challenging scenario, not as a threat. If you think that it is a threat, you fail, and your physiological system is getting disturbed because of this stressful scenario that you think that you're facing. So a cognitive reframing of things would mean a lot for you. Try, and which can be of some help to us. So the focus and the complete things can be quite clear to you, and the project can be completed very successfully. Minded. So these are very important. The practice of stress relief techniques, including meditation or whatever, regular exercises to prevent burnout. We have already talked about it. Burnout. Burnout syndrome, it is called. people a little stress level, people experience burnout. For some, it is stress tolerance levels would be fine, and for some, stress tolerance levels are said to be very low. For example, we see here a student community when the examination hall, few students take a comfort zone, and because they are well prepared and all that, let me see the question paper and then write the answers as I think fit. But for some, they are not even interested to look to the question paper when we distribute them onto their hands. Then they pray this, they do this thing, that thing, and they close their eyes. Of course, when they are meditating and to help themselves in cool, calm, composed atmosphere, that's fine. Otherwise, for some, they bite their nails and all that by looking at the question paper, and keep on pressing their ballpoint pens and all. See, this is what we see when different people approach examinations when they are in front of an examination question paper. So that's see, you need to strategize yourself. It's not a threat, it's a challenge because you need to be graduated. So attempting a qualifying examination is not a threat minded, it's a challenge to score well and get a big record. So same thing happens in a practical scenario as well. The next one is empathy as a key affective role. This is very important here. Please note. See, let's not be single minded. A problem is viewed differently by different sets of people. Reasons may be many, very many. So perceptual clarity is said to be very important. So let's not lock ourselves in our point of view. I mean, looking at the problem from our point of view as such. Empathy is a tool for social and emotional management. Try to understand any problem from others' perspective because they are also principal partners in the growth process of the organization as such. Of course, you may be the leader or the manager, whoever he is. So your ability to understand and share the feelings of others are very important. This is through discussion, trusted discussion as such. So this is important. Why? And you don't have to overemphasize because you need to team up, right? Though individually responsible, but then you have a set of people to work with. So are you interested to build your strong relationships? If your answer is yes, yes, you need to look at that. What you call empathetic approach of answering problems, and this enhances teamwork and collaboration. Absolutely important. Yes, it enhances teamwork and collaboration. Teaming up is said to be very important. Team building is your skill and an obligation. So unless you come from their own point of view, walking into their shoes, what we call it very often, then only you can enhance teamwork and collaboration, as a matter of fact. So let's see a real life example. In a workplace setting, a leader shows empathy by supporting a colleague going through a personal crisis. You may say this like, no, your personal problems are not important for me, and I'm not interested at all in your personal problems and all that. No, the work is important here. You please stay or get out of the scenario. I'm not interested in your personal crisis. This is wrong. Of course, it does not mean that you go on solving all the personal problems of your team members. I'm not. It's not a what do you call what I should say, uniform approach that you need to follow. But if an employee who suffers from something emotionally disturbed, the personal crisis is there because of that he couldn't get along with the work and meet the deadline. So you try to look at the work setting from the perspective of the individual employee explaining a personal problem or a personal crisis as such. So this strengthens the bond and boosts team morale. All members think that yes, he is the boss for us. He is the leader for us. He is listening to our problems. So irrational problems cannot be discussed here. But something like no, logically you suffer from a personal problem and there's a crisis there, and maybe organization related crisis, and that can be discussed, and you can give them some helping hand through some strategy or the other. Build up relationships. You work with shoulder to shoulder as such. So that's it. See, the additional tip, that's what we are interested to give you. Engage in perspective taking exercises. Perspective taking exercises is walking onto others' shoes, from your place to their place. Look at, and from them, from their perspective, try to evaluate. So engage in perspective taking exercises where you actively try to understand others' emotions. If I were to be him, if I were to be there, how do I approach the problem? Is it right or wrong? So this is how we need to have. You need to experience that. Otherwise, no. I mean, thinking on the your own side may not go good. So let's examine. In conclusion, I'm just concluding it. It is combining cognitive and affective tools for self-management. That is, bringing it all together. It's cognitive plus effective self-management is achieved by balancing logical reasoning with emotional regulation. I again repeat, by way of closure, logical reasoning is one, okay, absolutely important, because we need to take long run decisions, the practical decisions, and without any resources constraint and all. So you need to go for logical thinking, but at the same time, please note that you're working with teams. So you need to balance logical reasoning with emotional regulation. Regulate your emotions and try to manage the emotions of others, understanding the emotions of others. So the combined skills are to be used here in a workplace. Using cognitive tools like goal setting, for example, combined with affective tools like empathy, to lead teams very effectively. This is all to be together. See, in personal life, again, yes, managing time efficiently while staying mindful of emotional health as such. So, for example, you experience anger, right? So this emotional arousal is quite common for most of us. But anger, I mean, everybody experiences anger. It's a common emotion. But then try to answer yourself. If you're in an anger mood, right, like anger coefficient levels are high. What are your approaches to manage anger? Write down. How do you behave when you experience anger? Of course, anger can be at a domestic setting or in an organizational setting, on whom you experience anger. These are all, I mean, to be taken care of, I mean, in the process of analysis. But then everybody experiences anger, but then some come on to normalcy at a given point of time very quickly, but some will be, in that emotional arousal, mood swing, or you may say whatever, and be disturbed. They disturb themselves and disturb the environment as such. So in personal life also, we see, of course, in domestic settings and personal lifestyles also, we can examine how people misbehave. Misbehave does mean, it means that relationship orientation cannot be used appropriately, and you try to hurt others through your comments, unnecessary comments, and of course repenting a little later will not go good, because you already attempted to derail the relationships as such. That's very important. So the application part of it, I've already told you that a cognitive tools to strategize your logical thinking, time management, and resources, optimal utilization of resources, plus effective tools to maintain emotional well-being in any setting, help you a lot in managing self. Then if you're managing yourself well, I think there is every possibility to lead others or to manage others. Here is the case of Steve Jobs, master of self-management, the cognitive mastery. See, he's a visionary in setting goals and thinking very creatively, and applied problem solving approach in creating innovative products like iPhone, MacBook. You can see the how the success stories are. And effective master, though known for his intense personality, uh, Jobs used mindfulness practices like Zen Buddhism to help focus and manage stress. Of course, I'm not advocating any process here, but there are a lot of approaches on meditation, mindfulness practices as such. Note that emotional intelligence in leading his team through tough times of Apple. So, what are the learnings now? The learnings are a balance of cognitive and affective skills can lead to revolutionary achievements. Mind it. So, let's come on to the final thought. Are you interested to master self management? Let's see the key learnings what we study. Self management is a combination of cognitive and affective skills. Mind it. Cognitive tools help in planning, problem solving, decision making, logical thinking, whatever. Affective tools help manage emotions, build relationships, and cope with stressors. So, what we need to do now, think about yourself. Are you interested to go for self management? No. Start applying cognitive and affective tools in your daily life for better personal and professional outcomes. Thank you very much, profoundly, for your patient listening. And the next session would be on some other area that what we can think of. Thank you so much.